world our estranged or disappeared adult children are. And every time the phone rings, we wonder if it will be the police calling us to identify their bodies. And one, the one whose final report was a coroner's verdict, will never stop wondering who her bright, funny, promising son might have become if he hadn't hanged himself on his 25th birthday. Some of us feel for our friends, but privately count ourselves lucky because all our kids' problems aren't quite that awful or final. So he's 27 and still living at home, flipping burgers for bozos because he can't hold a better job. In an earlier generation, we tell ourselves bravely, it was common for 3 or even 4 generations to live under the same roof. And maybe we're not crazy about the girl who's living in the basement with him, but at least we know where he is. And his brother is happily married, has a great job, and a wife we adore, and is about to give us our first grandchild, so it couldn't be anything we did. So she's almost 30 and has had 4 abortions, 1 divorce, and a couple of broken engagements, but at least we're still communicating. And the guy she's going with now has no criminal record. Did I tell you her sister is fine, thank you, getting her PhD, and going with a very nice guy, and she was the one with dyslexia. So he stole the DVD and the TV and the digital camera to sell to pay his dealer, but fortunately it was from us, not from the store, so he didn't get caught. And we responded to the cry for help it so clearly was. And the psychiatrist says, with treatment, the prognosis is good, which is what he said about the other one, and he was right. It was just a stage she was going through. So she had a baby by a guy whose last name she didn't even know, but at least she didn't have an abortion, and we're thrilled to be raising our grandchild, even though we'd planned to sell the house and buy a condo this year. And he had a child by a girl whose last name we don't even know, but at least we can afford to make the court-ordered support payments he ignores. And he or she is gay, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that, and of course we're marching in the Gay Pride Parade next month, even while we're wishing we didn't have to, and being glad our parents aren't alive to see it. And if you think your kid's sexual preference is nothing to be ashamed or sorry about, you're absolutely right, but that doesn't keep you from wishing it felt better, or that the rest of the world was as accepting as you are. For every Peter, there's a Paul or Paula whose parents are unable to take any joy in living because their kids have screwed up or short-circuited the dreams that began the moment the doctor placed them in our arms. Somehow, and none of us is sure exactly when or why or even where, our kids took a wrong turn, away from the sunny futures we planned for them, and into lives and circumstances we never dreamed of. And while the final grades aren't in yet, it looks like they're flunking real life, which can only mean we flunked parenting, right? We're just as disappointed in ourselves as we are in them. The most privileged generation in history, except theirs. We were the biggest, richest, most educated generation in history. We reaped the benefits of the economic security that was our parents' most important goal and their gift to us. Even if we put off our own full adulthood a few years longer than the challenges of a depression and world war allowed them to, by the time we were the ages our grown kids are now, we'd internalized our parents' value system. And while we may have rebelled against or ignored those values in our college years, except for the vocal minority who hijacked the culture, we ultimately adopted or adapted them as our own. We not only took advantage of the opportunities our parents provided, we took them for granted, too. We delayed many, but not all, gratifications long enough to earn them. We stayed in our jobs long enough to get a raise, rented until we could afford to buy, drove whatever we had the cash to put down for. And if we tell our grown kids that, which we have a tendency to do, they just groan and add, right, and you walk 20 miles in the snow to school, too. We were eager for our independence, and by the time we had the responsibilities that come with it, we were mostly ready for them. We found our place in society and tried to raise our kids with good values, minus the guilt trips our parents laid on us, and with a lot more attention to their inner psychological needs than was paid to ours.